Hi everyone, my name is Christina Herrick and I'm on the editorial team with Golfdom magazine, and I'm here with Jalmari, Talola, CEO of Soil Scout.
Very nice to be here with you.
So why I'm talking to Jalmari is there's a really interesting technology that his company has developed and then partnered with another company. And I think it would be really interesting to have him explain it to you and for you to learn a little bit more about how it can benefit your golf course and also your field. So Jalmari, why don't you tell me a little bit about the technology and what makes it interesting?
Absolutely. Thank you, Christina. So Soil Scout is all about monitoring the underground conditions at turf industry. So we have developed the world's first truly underground soil condition sensor. It is a sensor measuring soil moisture, temperature, and salinity with amazing battery lifetime up to 20 years. The technology was developed, our founder, Dr. Johannes Tiusanen, he got the idea almost 20 years ago, how important it would be to see the underground situation, because at the time, typically everything was based more or less on what you see above the ground, and still the plants take most of what they need from underground. So he spent quite a few years, he made academic research and created a world's first underground radio transmitter and antenna, which is now patented. And it's an antenna that is capable of configuring itself based on the current conditions underground, so that it's always in tune and always capable of transmitting the signals to the receiver above the ground.
And you were telling me a little bit about why it's important that the sensor kind of configures itself. You know, it's not like broadcasting a radio signal in the air. Tell me a little bit about what makes an underground sensor and using radio waves unique and a bit of a challenge, if you will.
Yeah, well, the challenge in the beginning was that we didn't want to have any cables or obstacles above the ground that would prevent machinery or other maintenance. So whole thing was based on that we have to go underground, but we were told that the radio waves, they don't travel underground conditions. Once we started to study it, why they don't, we understood that they do travel there, but much lower compared to open air. And it's not a standard speed like it's in open air, but the soil moisture affects the radio wave speed. So that more moisture you have in your soil, the slower is the radio, and the opposite. So Johannes, together with his good mate Jussi, they created this prototype antenna that is capable of configuring itself based on the surrounding medium. So whenever the condition changes, it configuring itself on the fly, and that way capable of always and in every condition transmitting the signals.
Yes, and then talk to me a little bit about the partnership that your company has with drone technology, and talk to me a little bit about how that gives a big picture of a golf course.
As I told, we are all about what's happening underground. That's what we develop, constantly looking for different sensor solutions from agronomical point of view, what we could detect underground, but that leaves quite a lot open what's happening above the ground. So we have just recently partnered up with GreenSight agronomics, and they have a very interesting drone technology, how they have a set of cameras mounted to the drone, a thermal camera, normal camera, an NVDI camera, and catching all that above the ground aerial data, integrating underground Soil Scout data through their Turf Cloud platform, gives a completely unseen ability for the ground staff to detect the different anomalies and condition changes throughout the course, knowing that you cannot travel through the course every day, see every square meter or square feet, but you want to understand the comprehensive picture. So having those sensors in a predefined locations, flying over the drones every day or every couple of days gives you a constant view for the course, what's happening there, where you might have changes or problems, where you should focus your work at, and that's very, very powerful tool for every course.
Yes, and talk to me a little bit about some of the courses that you're working with in the States, if you're able to mention any.
Well, yeah, one that I can mention is Meadow Club in Fairfax, California. They are quite recent Soil Scout user. They've been using that for some time now, but they are also a Turf Cloud customer, and they'll be the first one to integrate these two technologies from GreenSight and Soil Scout. Outside of US, we do have quite a few courses. Mentioned Singapore Island Country Club and Sentosa Golf Club in Singapore, and we have a Belfry Golf Club in UK, which is quite known.
Have you gotten any feedback from golf course superintendents?
We have, absolutely, and that's what we constantly look for, the users having the feedback, what kind of a benefit they've been experienced from the data. And obviously the most common answer is that they've been able to save water through optimized irrigation. They know how much they should spend water to different areas at the course based on the data. And through that water savings, they are also able to save fertilizers and other amendments used at the course. So that's being the most frequently reported benefit from the users. But then going deeper and different levels with the data, understanding the variations within your course or within your field, how to actively remove the different restrictors there, preventing diseases, using the moisture data and temperature data to prevent diseases and pesticides, and also in some areas monitoring the salinity level is pretty important.
Yeah.
So then if you're reaching the toxic levels of salinity, you know that you have to spread different chemicals or flush the salinity away with fresh water.
Yes, and I think we were talking before we started the video conference, but just understanding that a lot of times having that data, soil data, really helps superintendents understand problem spots for diseases like you mentioned, and a lot of that develops so quickly underneath. So getting kind of that ability to have the overhead view plus then also the data underneath to really identify if there's a possibility for some kind of pathogen or something, it's really helpful.
It is really helpful, and knowing that you cannot place sensors to every square feet at your course, but you have certain predefined locations. You, as a superintendent, you know where are the bad or difficult areas at your course. You know what are the good ones, you know what are the average ones. So picking up those points for the sensors, having the data, knowing your course, how it's constructed, and then having that aerial information, and by combining those two factors, you can reference that information with the areas where you might not have the sensors, but very similar conditions. So that's completely new kind of a type of thinking, which can lead how you change your practices, and well, at the end, have a top quality turf.
Yes, and you were talking about just how easy it is to one kind of set it and forget it, but then two, there is a little bit of an ease to relocate because the sensor's wireless. So talk to us a little bit about that.
That's correct. Yeah, the wireless technology kind of does freedom to operate with it. once you set it up somewhere, you might want to relocate it for a reason or another. As it's wireless and communicating quite long ranges, you can anytime pick it up and bury it to some other place. Or then with that 20 years battery lifetime, you just can leave it there and kind of bury it and forget it. You can also anytime add new sensors without any type of a configuration. So it's a kind of a turnkey solution. You just bury the sensors, mount the receiver, power it on, and the data starts flowing.
Yes, and then how do you access the information? You know, what is it, through smartphone, tablet, computer? Talk to us about how, because you said the data is stored in a cloud-based solution. So talk to us about how you get that information, how you can access that information.
There are options now because of GreenSight. So we have our own dashboard monitoring service where you can monitor the situation in real time. You have all the historical records. You can go back year to year, do comparison, and see the graphs and map view. Or you can then, and you can of course use the same user interface with your computer, your tablet, or your mobile phone. Or then now optionally see the data through Turf Cloud and possibly even combine it with the aerial data.
So is there anything else that a golf course superintendent might want to know or need to know about the technology?
Well, the technology, it was developed quite some time ago. We had the first prototypes ready already back in 2005. The first sensors that are still active they've been used since 2006. So we have 14 years of experience and traction. So we are quite confident how durable and how good the power handling within the sensor is. So they've been buried in Finnish soils since that 2006, untouched. On the other hand, the company has been here now for 7 years. So the company was founded quite some time after the technology was there in 2013. And just last year, we got a major investment from a Swedish gardening and turf equipment manufacturer, Husqvarna. So that investment is now used to scale up the business, enter to new markets, and this is a major step for us to enter a US market in big time.
So I just want to thank Jalmari Talola, CEO, and as he told me, Chief Troublemaker of Soil Scout, for talking to us today. It's been a pleasure. It's fascinating to learn about technology, and I don't know if he wants to share how he got named Chief Troublemaker, but I'll leave that up to you if you want to.
Yeah, that actually relates to my previous work, where I was a part of the management group, and it's been my nature always questioning everything. So whatever subject we were discussing, maybe making a decision, I wanted to questionize it. Are we doing the right thing? Is it the right move? So at some meeting that the CEO I had the time, he's just shouted at me, "Why you always have to be such a troublemaker?" And I think that's kind of a compliment. So I started using the Chief Troublemaker title.
Well, I think in technology, it's good. It's good to question things. I think that's how innovations come about.
That's how innovations come about, and that's how we constantly challenge ourselves, because we have to keep on renewing and developing what we do.